My allergies are really bad today. But this right here is Poncirus trifolium. A few of these in here. These get like probably max about 15 feet tall. They're a big bush. And they have briars on them, huge briars, which would keep the deer off of them. And they have the little lemons on them. These lemons actually hurt my stomach a little bit. But Taylor can eat them and it doesn't hurt her stomach. So we're going to use it for deer protection plus the lemons. And we might actually try to graft some lemons onto the rootstock that this will create. But since it's not going to get very tall, and we got chestnuts and stuff in here that'll tower over this stuff, I'm going to plant a few in here and just see how they work out for deer protection, and who knows how we can use them in the future. We might just be able to sell them. A lot of people like to just have them. As I'm sure y'all can tell, I fill up a food forest. I've learned that things die, and it's a lot easier just to cut things down than it is to get them to grow. You might as well fill it up with all types of stuff, to be honest. I took a lot of my philosophy from, as far as food forests, from Cliff Davis, from Pig and Leaf Farms. It used to be Spiral Ridge Permaculture. Justin Rhodes has done a video on his place, and I've been there. I visited him for a little while back in 2019, I believe, and he plants his stuff really dense like this. So I like the idea of that. As I said, I have a chainsaw and a machete and lots of pruning tools if I find out that I don't like them there in the future. And a lot of this stuff will just die. Something will happen, like a deer will probably come. There's a chestnut planted right here. It's very possible that a deer could come over here and knock down the cage and completely destroy the chestnut. Or you could have a deer come in with their antlers and girdle the tree. I've had that happen before. I've had mice eat the roots of the tree and then leave a tree over here alone. So I don't know what. My point is, you just never know what's going to happen, and you don't want to make this space and maintain it for 10 years, and then 10 years down the line, you never get a fruit, like the tree dies 10 years in, and you actually never got a product out of it the whole time. So I have a goji berry right here, a chestnut. I just planted 2 of those lemons, and I left some seed out in a bucket the other day with in water. So I don't know if this stuff was going to sprout, but I just planted all sorts of cover crops in here. And I just see what does good. I plant these goji berries everywhere, by the way. These are really difficult. The best word for goji berries is finicky. I've had people bring me literally hundreds of goji berry plants, like pulled up from suckers, from local goji berry plants. And I planted probably 100 out here, and I've found 3 that are still alive out of all of them. But apparently once you get them going, you can't stop them. Like that one over there, I'll show you in a minute. It looks really good. I'm going to finish spreading these out. I'm going to plant like 2 of them per terrace, I think. Or until I run out. I also planted a bunch of ginkgo nuts. I did a video on eating ginkgo nuts, and I didn't really like them that much. But they were okay. I could eat them if I needed to. It wasn't the worst thing in the world, but it's not really something I would choose. Probably try it again with like a soup or something, which I heard. I didn't try anything like that. I don't think I quite let them dry enough, and they got wet, and they were starting to turn like a weird color. So I just went ahead and planted them all out here. So maybe we'll get some ginkgo trees too. We'll keep you updated about that. By the way, I'm planting the whole lemon. There's multiple seeds in here. You could bust these things open and actually plant out the seeds individually, but I have so many of them, I'm just planting a whole lemon. If I get multiple, I'll just separate it or just cut the rest of them. That tree that's by the camera right there is a honey locust, which is, I think it might be debatable that that's actually a nitrogen fixer, but it does have pods on it that are supposedly sweet and pretty good. I guess we're going to have an interesting little guild here. Honey locust, the lemon fruits, and then nopales right here on the edge. I said earlier in the video, but that direction, which is down slope, I don't know if y'all can tell, but we're on some of the bottom terraces that we've been working on. That way is southwest. So I'm putting a lot of my larger trees over here. I did put some chestnuts up that way, up towards the top, and I put some down here as well. I'm not real worried about the orientation and how the sun falls that much. The western sun is probably the biggest killer of our trees here in the summertime. It's so hot that we lose things in drought rather than cold, unless we're planting something that's pushing it here, like an olive or something. We're gonna put the larger trees over here and see if we can actually block out the western sun. But that's another thing I really don't ponder too much on that when you're planting on a large scale, because as I said, you can always just chop things down if they don't work. On a smaller scale, I will be a lot more intentional on sun positioning and whatnot, and where I put trees according to where the sun is. But this little project right here, I'm not super worried about it. I just want to fill it up with as much as I can. One of the reasons that I want to block out the western sun is because, say I'm standing in a westernmost point right here, which I am. The tree right here would only get eastern sun. This is hypothetical, but eastern sun is a lot better for cooler temperature, things that, like, say something that actually would be better in a zone 7 or a zone 6, I would put in those conditions. I wouldn't want to put like a zone 7A plant, or I wouldn't want it to be exposed to western sun here in the south. I would rather put more tropical things that are proven to do well in the heat. I mean, the honey locusts are native here, so I know they'll do well in the heat. The chestnuts, the genetics that those chestnuts came from, those genetics came from my neighbor's tree right up the road. So I know those genetics are good for here. Honestly, I like to plant things that have genetics from here in the first place, but sometimes I'll experiment. Like if I was gonna do like this is kind of a bad example because I don't actually know if it would do good here, like a shipova or something, which I believe is like a Russian fruit. If I was going to do that, I would do it where it wouldn't have access, where it would be blocked by that western sun. So that's just one of the reasons I was saying block western sun. But then there's things that might like the western sun, so there's no bad thing with that. Soil is liberty everywhere you are. I have a couple of these lemons left, and I'm just going to throw them in this little Hugel culture mound I have right here. These were logs that actually came from where the house was. I cut these by hand and just unloaded them on contour, basically. They make like a little circle. I'll show you on the drone footage. I never put any mulch or anything on top of it. As you can see, it's just basically cut up pine trees right here. But I'm just gonna throw the lemons in there. Maybe they'll pop up out of there. Still not 100% sure what I'm gonna do with this little area, by the way. I'm thinking about dumping some mulch on top of this and just making it like a huge terrace, which is, I mean, I think that's how Hugel cultures originally were made in the first place, was pretty much this method. But yeah, we're just gonna throw the lemons in there, and I'll let y'all know if these pop up. I've definitely thrown these lemons around here, like just all over my yard, and they pop up just from you throwing them about. So